deep in the Mississippi woods, where the oppressive heat was only rivaled by the constant hum of cicadas, and the air was thick with secrets, there stood a cabin that defied time itself. This cabin, seemingly untouched by decay, was the abode of old Matilda, a woman whose name was whispered only in the darkest corners of the bayou. Matilda was no ordinary woman. With her wild, unruly silver hair and eyes as murky and mysterious as the swamp, she was rumored to hold the power to grant one's deepest desires. However, as the legends went, the price for such wishes was nothing less than one's very sanity. Tales of those who ventured into her eerie cabin and emerged forever changed had haunted the Mississippi locals for generations. Among those locals were three friends, Sarah, Chris, and Jake. Their fascination with Matilda's rumored powers, coupled with their unquenchable thirst for their heart's desires, finally overcame their fears. One moonless night, they gathered their courage, clutching a single lantern to guide their path through the inky darkness of the woods. As they neared the cabin, the air grew colder and more oppressive. The cabin itself was an unsettling sight to behold, its time-worn wood seeming to exude an eerie energy. Cobwebs clung to its windows, and the porch sagged with the weight of time, as though the very structure of the place had been warped by dark forces. With trembling hands, they knocked on the crooked door, which swung open with an unnerving creak. Matilda stood within, her presence striking terror into their hearts as her eyes bore into their very souls. "You seek your heart's desires, do you?" she hissed, her voice like the rustling of leaves in the wind. The friends shared uneasy glances before they nodded in unison. Sarah yearned for artistic talent that surpassed the masters. Chris craved untold wealth, and Jake pined for a love that would consume his very soul. Matilda's eyes flickered with a strange, otherworldly fire as she nodded, her voice laced with ancient power. "Very well," she whispered. "I shall grant your desires, but know that you shall each pay the price." With a wave of her bony hand, the room filled with an ethereal mist. Sarah felt a surge of creativity unlike anything she'd ever known, but it was a chaotic force, threatening to drown her in a sea of madness. Her once beautiful paintings transformed into grotesque, nightmarish images that sent shivers down her spine. Chris's pockets grew heavy with an unimaginable wealth, but the weight seemed to drag his very soul into an abyss of greed and emptiness. He counted his riches incessantly, hoarding them as though he were protecting a precious secret. But he could never shake the feeling that someone would steal them from him. As for Jake, the love he'd desired so desperately consumed him, but it was a love that twisted his mind into a maze of obsession and torment. His passion became suffocating, smothering the object of his affection, who slowly slipped away from his grasp. Their transformations were immediate, and as the mist cleared, the friends stumbled backward, their sanity slipping away like grains of sand through their trembling fingers. Matilda grinned wickedly, desires fulfilled, but at what cost? Her laughter reverberated through the cabin, a bone-chilling sound that echoed deep into their very souls. The room seemed to warp around them, closing in as the walls shifted and the shadows deepened. Sarah's distorted paintings surrounded them, each portraying grotesque and nightmarish scenes that made their hearts race with terror. Chris's newfound riches transformed into a sea of gold that threatened to consume him, a relentless and insatiable greed. Jake's love had twisted into an all-consuming madness, a love that smothered and strangled. driving both him and the object of his desire to the brink of despair. The friends fled from the cabin, leaving behind the sinister presence of Matilda. Their lives would never be the same again, each trapped in a twisted version of their heart's desire, a tormenting reminder that some prices were too steep to pay, even for the fulfillment of one's deepest longings. As they ventured deeper into the woods, the night seemed to grow even darker, and the cries of the swamp more mournful. Strange, shadowy figures seemed to follow them, lurking just at the edge of their vision, whispering eerie incantations that sent shivers down their spines. The very heart of the Mississippi woods felt alive, a malevolent force that reveled in the suffering it had caused. In the heart of the Mississippi woods, Matilda's cabin remained, a beacon to those daring enough to seek their desires, a warning to those who knew the cost. The friends, now tormented souls, were but a footnote in the long, dark history of Matilda's twisted power, a chilling tale that would be told in hushed voices for generations to come, a story of desires granted at the price of sanity in a place where nightmares became all too real.
Thank you for visiting Raven Woods. If you've enjoyed our explorations, don't forget to subscribe and like. And ring that notification bell so you never miss an episode. Stay curious, stay daring, and keep wandering those winding paths of curiosity. We will see you in the shadows.